What went wrong with Pakistan's Dubai? Inside the Chinese initiative fueling terror attacks. The small port city of Gwadar now boasts a massive new airport funded by China, but local suspicions about Beijing's true intentions threaten to derail the ambitious project. When the first flight landed on Gwadar's newly constructed tarmac, Pakistan's government hailed it as a monumental step toward progress and prosperity. The airport, the largest in the country, is situated in the troubled Balochistan province and was presented as a symbol of cooperation between Pakistan and China, according to Pakistan's Defense Minister Khawaja Muhammad Asif. Yet, the reality of the event painted a darker picture. Taking place on the 20th of January, the city of Gwadar was placed under a severe security lockdown. While senior Pakistani government and military officials attended, Chinese government representatives were conspicuously absent, even though China financed the airport's $230 million price tag. The crown jewel of CPEC faces turmoil. Gwadar, with its Chinese-funded airport, deepwater port, and proposed economic zone, has long been heralded as the centerpiece of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. Under this initiative, China pledged to invest $62 billion in infrastructure megaprojects spanning airports, highways, railways, ports, and power plants for Pakistan. Launched in 2015 as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, the corridor was designed to bolster China's control over critical trade routes in Asia and Africa. But 10 turbulent years later, the project's future looks uncertain. In impoverished Balochistan, the Chinese airport and deepwater port have fueled a dire security crisis, straining relations between Pakistan and China. Promises that Gwadar would be transformed into Pakistan's Dubai remain starkly unfulfilled, igniting anger among locals who accuse China of turning the city into a fortress. High fencing, segregated zones for Chinese workers, security checkpoints, and heavy police and military presence have turned Gwadar into what many residents describe as a high-security prison. One project particularly loathed by locals is a donkey slaughterhouse, still non-operational, designed to process up to 1 million donkeys imported from Africa for products used in traditional Chinese medicine. The impact on locals. Access to the sea around Gwadar's deepwater port has also become severely restricted, with 90% of its profits going to its Chinese operator. Local fishermen claim they are barely surviving, as they are no longer allowed to freely fish and face harassment by security forces. "We've lost the entire sea," lamented 70-year-old fisherman Dad Karim. "When we go out to fish, it feels like we're criminals sneaking around. The sea doesn't belong to us anymore. It belongs to the Chinese." A brewing security crisis. CPEC has drawn the ire of several terrorist groups in Pakistan, including the Islamic State and the Pakistan Taliban. The Balochistan Liberation Army, BLA, a regional separatist group, accuses China of exploiting local resources and has launched a violent campaign to disrupt the project. In October, the BLA staged a terrorist attack near Karachi airport, killing 2 Chinese nationals. This was just one in a string of deadly bombings and shootings targeting both Chinese and Pakistani individuals. The escalating violence has created immense challenges for CPEC, with Phase 2 of the project yet to begin. Of the 26 projects in the pipeline, many may be scaled back, and China has withdrawn large numbers of its workers from Pakistan. Any arrival of Chinese personnel in Gwadar now triggers military-grade security measures. China's frustration boils over. In a rare public rebuke, Wang Zhengjie, China's political secretary to Pakistan, voiced serious concerns about CPEC's future in an interview conducted in Islamabad. "If security doesn't improve, who would work in such an environment?" he asked. There is hatred against the Chinese in Gwadar and Balochistan. Evil forces want to sabotage the CPEC. Wang criticized Pakistan's handling of CPEC, accusing its policymakers of pushing for economically unviable projects without upgrading supporting infrastructure. He also blamed false rhetoric by the Pakistani government for creating unrealistic expectations among locals. China's true motives? There are long-standing suspicions that China's investments in Gwadar are driven more by military strategy than economics. Questions have been raised about why a city of 150,000 mostly impoverished residents needs the country's largest airport. Locals often refer to it as a white elephant. Similarly, Gwadar's deepwater port has generated little commercial activity since China took control, with most ships merely passing through on their way to Afghanistan. It is currently operating at a loss, according to local officials. Several senior Pakistani officials believe these projects are part of China's military strategy. They claim China aims to use Gwadar port as a naval base and the airport for its military operations. Beijing is also said to have requested permission for its People's Liberation Army, PLA troops, to guard CPEC workers and access Gwadar port for its navy. The cost of dependence. Pakistan's reliance on China has put it in a precarious position. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's recent visit to Beijing yielded little, with China showing lukewarm interest in funding an additional $17 billion in projects. Beijing has allegedly used Pakistan's economic crisis to push its strategic demands, threatening to withhold loan rollovers and future investments. However, analysts believe China will not abandon CPEC entirely. Asfandiar Meer, a senior expert in South Asia affairs, stated, "China has too much at stake in Pakistan to let it fail." Still, the growing strain between the two nations, coupled with rising security risks, paints a bleak picture for Pakistan's Dubai. For now, Gwadar remains a city trapped between unfulfilled dreams and geopolitical ambitions.